I mean,
oh, oops, I clicked.
It's okay. It's fine.
Okay, are we ready?
Yes, we are ready.
All right, you wanna bring us in, Casey?
Yes. Hello, everybody that will watch this. Lauren and I have been doing some work with the root chakra and learning about the chakras and embodiment practices that help to connect us to that chakra. And we have been on just a little self-discovery. And we wanted to share this with other people because it may be helpful, especially for people on a spiritual path that are interested in embodiment practices and connecting with themselves.
Yeah, I want to say before we start, because we're going to bring in like the history, like where does chakras even come from, so that we all understand what we're talking about. But I want to say, and I want to ask you too, like, what was your first thought of chakras? Like, I first started hearing that when I came to yoga, and I just thought it was like, like, like rainbows and everything else. Like, I get it, but it didn't really land until more recently. Well, tell me what your thought was about it.
Well, I mean, I've heard about it for a long time. I've even talked about it and I still don't know a ton. I'm not like an expert. But the first time that I could really feel a chakra and was like, okay, because I learned Bass through experience and like a hands-on experience. I think most people do. And I had done a breath work training with David Elliott, and I did it virtually. So I didn't expect it to be that powerful, but there were a lot of us breathing. And that's when my solar plexus, I could feel it like spinning, like it really felt like energy spinning. And I was like, that's that area. And also when my husband had his first spiritual awakening, he could feel something happening in that part of his body. And he was like, it just feels weird. It doesn't feel like, something's wrong physically, but there was something energetic happening and he could sense it. And so that's when I started to be like, okay, the chakras are real, it's a real thing, but I'm still learning. I don't know a ton,
Yeah. Well, and for me, for my first real experience, I would call this, and we'll get into this, Kundalini, or the ecstatic. I'm just going to say, for me, it was this ecstatic experience, was breath also. So breath is our doorway. But it was in a Love's Breath session, over a period of time. I mean, I was just practicing Love's Breath often, which is belly breathing. And all of a sudden, one day I was just in pure stillness. And all of a sudden I felt at the base of my spine, like ecstatic. I mean, it's like orgasmic, but it's not of the genitals, like ecstatic energy. And it would make me like, and like if somebody could touch just touch my spine, I think I would have like jumped out of my seat, because it was so, and it happened like 3 days in a row. So that's when I was like, okay, there's more to when people talk about Kundalini, or in my pathway, we'll get to that, but like the true essence of the Christ energy, not dogmatic, but the true life energy, that's real. So we've had our experiences with it. I felt like before we go into the Bass Chakra meditation, I just wanted to speak to where this whole idea of chakras originated. And it originated, this is just fascinating for me to learn too. Like, it originated in India between 1500 and 500 BC, so before Christ. And it's the oldest text is the Vedas, but that tradition was passed down orally. So, and it said like in that tradition, it was about seeking the truth, and they called the truth like where we more might hear of God or the supreme, or like whatever, intelligence, whatever someone wants to call it. They called it Brahman, and it was like the absolute is what they specifically called it. And they said that this information just came from seers, what they called seers, beings that could just see clearly. And this information was just simply downloaded. And so it's just interesting. And now science backs it. I'll get into that too. But we're today talking about the 7 chakra system, but I mean, they say there's the doctor that I'm going to talk about says there's 144 chakras. So, I mean, it could go like, it's way more vast than just this, but we're just going to keep it simple for what we're talking about. Okay. I wanted to say, now that we've spoken to like where it originated to the best of our ability. I wanted to say a doctor now, Dr. Amrit Ray, who is a physician researcher, and he is committed to medical breakthroughs. He is he has a medical degree and an immunology degree, which is really interesting, fascinating to me that he's done this study. He shares that Kundalini awakening is the most peaceful, blissful, and graceful divine experience, that when you activate and harmonize the chakras within the body, within the being, you will transcend mental limitations and realize union with the supreme consciousness. So it's just interesting that even this doctor is speaking of the energetic systems in the body.
Yes.
He shares, like, just in science terms for a science mind, that the chakras are located throughout the body, primarily located in the central nervous system, in hormonal and in neurotransmitter pathways. He also speaks to how chakras, which this is big in science right now, the neuroplasticity and how the brain has the ability to change. And he speaks of how that the crown chakra is the chakra of neuroplasticity, and how it allows the brain to continuously change and for people to let go of what's like holding them back and come into more self-realization. So it's so interesting. And he's written a book. So if anybody wants to look up him, it's Dr. Amrit Ray. So I think it's fascinating. And then I wanted to say, is there anything you want to say about any of that?
I want to say, just if this is a distraction, my dogs are right here fighting at my feet. And it's a common theme, for me to have things always happening. So I'm just going to stay focused on this while you may hear them. That's the noise that you hear. I want to talk about, I was interested in discussing how you and why we started at the root chakra. Do you remember why this became like what we were working on? Because I feel like I've been aware of my heart chakra and my solar plexus, but I know where I started to be aware of it when I had the reading. So I had that spiritual, energetic reading done with this man that's like a healer. And he could sense that my sacral and root were completely blocked. So that's when I started to be like, because I was completely unaware of it. That's when I started to be more interested in, like, how can I unblock? Like, what are things I can do? And this may be off topic. We'll come back to how you would know it was blocked and ways to unblock it. And I'll share my own experience of like with the twerking.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, the reason, what I think brought me here is, we've talked about this on other podcasts, but I had a lot of suppression around sexuality, fear of sexuality, unlearning beliefs, and this can kind of transit into what Kundalini is, because that's important in this conversation. But so Kundalini, in the original tradition, Kundalini is considered the intelligence, or like behind all of creation, like the intelligence, the life force. If you're from the Christ path, my pathway of awakening was through way of mastery. If you're from that, it's interesting how these align. Jeshua, or Jesus, the one known as Jesus, says that Christ is pure, unhindered, impersonal, intelligent, sexual energy. So these two align exactly the same. Like, if you're talking to somebody, a lot of times they think Christ, they think it's Jesus. Well, like, Jesus is a man who fully had the realization that we're all having, of that, letting that life energy fully embody him, so he fully awoke to that. So, so that life energy, from according to Kundalini, or the chakra system, is what is is different, is subtly different than sexual energy. So in our human experience, you know, it's the primal energy, the sexual energy. And until we allow ourselves to feel that, we don't have judgments around it, we don't have fear around it, we can't awaken to this deeper energy that's behind that, you know, that's can animate that, can move through that. And so this will go into like the incarnation and what this whole meditation is about. So one idea, and this is just something to entertain, everybody can discover if this is true for them, but is that we come from the light. We are intelligence. We are light beings, you know, and that in incarnation, so before we incarnated into human form, we exist in this pure, in heaven, in this pure essence of love and light. And you had this experience yesterday, you can speak to. We have this pure, it's all that is, all that we could want. And we dream a dream of separation, and we choose that we want to experience something else, you know? And so in that choice, we start to descend, and the root chakra, what we're going to focus on today, is the first energy center that starts to take shape as we incarnate. So it like when the parents can have sex and there's that conception, that moment of conception, this starts to happen. And they say when we incarnate, we don't even have a brain yet. It's just our natural intuition. And so when we incarnate, it's like, do we feel safe? That's the root chakra. All of a sudden we come from all that is and the essence of God. We come from that, and we're incarnating into someone else's physical body and in all their energy. So if our mother was in fear, if our family was in survival mode to pay their bills or whatever it is, we're incarnating into this energy. And so already, and from the root chakra, all the other chakras develop, and then the heart and the organs start to develop. So this is our first essence behind our even physical form that's running everything, that everything develops from. So we store trauma. They say that in the root chakra, there can be ancestral trauma, like what our parents were carrying.
And grandparents and great grandparents. And I mean, it goes back to the beginning of humanity. That's what I was about. And that like you said, the chakra system is a blueprint. That's our blueprint.
Yeah. You want to speak more about that?
Yeah, I was going to share with, we didn't say this at the beginning, that we were going to do a meditation following this discussion. I'll put that in the thing so people know that it's coming, if we have time. Yeah. But Lauren and I have been just doing our own self-discovery through this. And what was really cool is Lauren has been exploring. I'll tell you something cool about Lauren. If you're aware of human design, Lauren is a mental projector. Only 1% of people on Earth are mental projectors. And whenever I was learning about human design and I was trying to find out what she was, because she's like my dear friend, and I was like freaking out because I couldn't find anything about her. I'm like, oh my God, like she doesn't exist. Like,
nothing's wrong with me.
It scared me, and it scared her a little. And anyway, so Lauren has a very open energy system. So whenever the only place that she's filled in, if you're familiar with human design, is up here, right? That's the only place you're filled in. Everything else is open, which means you can tap into other people and you can magnify that energy, which is awesome. But so she was doing this self-discovery and meditating in the root chakra and the sacral too. And through her own meditation and what she was able to see and experience, she created, it's almost like she found a place, and she now has like taken other people there through this meditation. And she took me there through this meditation that came through her. And my cats wants to go outside. But it was profound because I fell right into this place that she will take us in a minute. And I'm not going to tell anybody. I want to do another video and we share our experience and fill it in more after we do the meditation. So people won't be looking for the exact experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But discovering that it's just almost like familiarizing yourself with the energy, your own energy, you know, and becoming familiar with what's there for you. Anything else you want to share? You have all the notes about the way this.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't want to, because we don't want them to color their experience with your experience. So
Right. Or
you had a great experience, so I'd love for you to share that later.
Yes, we'll do another video and have a part 2.
Okay. Yeah. So I'd like to bring up on our Zoom screen, where, like, for somebody that's a visual learner, where the base chakra is, just so that in the meditation they can kind of have a sense of where to bring their awareness. Let's see, share screen right here. See, can you see that, Casey?
Yes.
So the base chakra, and we'll put in the comments like where this information comes from, but the base chakra is considered to be the bottom 3 vertebrae, or the base of the spine, and the perineum. So between the anus and if you're a woman, a vaginal opening, or the penis. Like, so that's where this first energy center starts developing, and where our intelligence comes into this earth plane. So, and the pelvic floor muscles are connected to this tailbone, to the tailbone. So in this meditation that we do, everything is just invitational. Everybody listen to what they need to do. But I might guide a few Kegel, like pumping the muscles in the base and just activating those a little bit. But it's just kind of activating where the root chakra actually is. And Casey, do you want to say why you're wearing red today?
Yes, the root chakra, the color that symbolizes it, and the energy, I really think, is red too, because it's what they say in the color spectrum is the slowest moving frequency. I think that I'm saying that right. And so I wore red to really tap in and symbolize that. They say you can eat red foods. There's so many ways to start to get in touch with your root and discover if you have an over open or active energy center, or a closed. In my particular, and I think Lauren's, we had closed root chakras that were, and mine manifested as anxiety, addictive patterns, compulsive behavior and thinking, and that is a sign of a closed or blocked root chakra. So red helps me to tap into that feeling and the frequency of that for our meditation today. And I'm going to put my dogs outside.
Okay. I'll keep talking because I'll
keep sharing.
Yeah, another quality of a closed base chakra is the need to control, to control the environment, because it's a feeling of unsafety. So a lot of times, if people didn't have their needs met as just infants, you know, we can naturally have an unbalanced root chakra. In one of the articles I was reading, it was talking about, and we naturally know this, and if we've studied somatic work, we know this, that we have to address trauma for it to dissolve. We have to address where the blocks are to love's presence, in order for it to dissolve. So we're just bringing our attention or our awareness where to different parts in the body, and that are different part. Today we're doing it in the base chakra, and just seeing what arises, seeing what naturally arises, and holding what arises in love, in truth. So I was just describing, did you hear all that, Casey?
I could hear you some.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if we've covered pretty much everything before we start. Is there anything you feel like we didn't cover?
We talked about the colors, and we can talk about how it's like the earth, the Mother Earth frequency is the root. So we can, whenever you're in a forest, or you're at the beach, you're at a place where you can feel that frequency of like being held, and you just feel so good, like having your feet in the sand or whatever. That is the frequency of a healthy root chakra. That's what because it feels like you're connected to that energy. So to be able to have that as your, base energy, and then bringing it all the way up is just healing, beautiful,
It is. Yeah.
Do you want to describe about the meditation, what it's for,
I'll just kind of give a layout of what we'll do. And I'm a little nervous because yesterday it just came through, and now I'm like, well, what if it doesn't come through? But we'll see. We're just going to watch what arises. But basically what we're going to do is we're just going to come into our breath, and then I'll take us to a place before incarnation. I'll just turn the mind towards what we may remember naturally before incarnation and how a choice occurred. And then you'll naturally know, because our soul can contact everything we've ever experienced. So we'll start to feel like what it felt like to come into incarnation, what it felt like. And then I'll start to bring attention to the tailbone and to the perineum. And then I may bring in the color red. I'll play some music that goes along with this. And our people in this experience, their only job really is to just notice what arises, and just embracing it, like just being present with it in love. And I'll give a few mindfulness tools along the way, and everybody just listen to their own wisdom. Like what I do mention as tools is just a suggestion, but everybody has their own wisdom.
Yes.
Is there anything?
I want to share a couple tips before we start for people that, especially if you're new to meditating. Something that helps with this is to keep your attention down into the space that we're talking about, the root. And Lauren will give some pointers for this and keep bringing you back. But the whole point of this meditation is literally to, instead of being up here thinking about what's happening, like sink your attention and your awareness down into this spot and feeling in that place, and trust what comes, trust what you see, trust what maybe you feel as a knowing, because it could be weird. Like it could be like, holy crap, why am I seeing a caveman? Like whatever it is, trust what arises, because it's information that you're going into a place to have access to information that you don't have on the mental plane. It's more spiritual and tapping into like all of everything. So trust what your own wisdom is, and you're safe. And that's what the root's about, is feeling safe and, trusting. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah. And I want to just say for spiritual people, because I went through a long phase where it was like, I'm not the body, I'm free, I'm as God created me to be, like these concepts. But I love this saying that it says have you ever seen that tree? It's a picture of a tree, and it's like reaching up, and and then it shows all the roots, and it's like your arms, you can't reach up to heaven until your roots reach all the way to hell, like what we consider hell. And it's like bringing awareness all the way down, where even we are scared, our survival fears are, then we can like embody heaven on earth. But we can't do that. That's just a concept, heaven on earth, until we like have realization in our own human experience. So I just wanted to say that too, because it's been transformational to like go there inside myself. So yes.
And the root chakra, it does hold a lot of repression and trauma, because it's so we can stuff it pretty deep, so the root's like where it is. So just be gentle with yourself, and whatever comes up, if you start to feel like it's overwhelming or too much, you, like Lauren said, you have full agency to do whatever it is that you need to do, what's best for you. And this is not intended for any like medical. Lauren and I are just meditation, love's breath teachers, and that's what this is about. And so if anything comes up and you need to seek your doctor's help, do so. Just wanted to clear our.
Yeah, we don't expect anything like that. But here we go. Okay. So first, for everybody, I would suggest us sitting up if that feels okay in your body. And while we're settling in, just notice if your body wants to stretch or what would feel good for you. And just starting to relax the jaw and the face. And noticing the breath. Notice the breath, and you can intuit this or you may sense this, the light within the breath. How it has this quality of, as we breathe, everything else can dissolve. When all our attention goes to the breath, the mind can kind of be in the background. And so just for a moment, we're going to turn our attention to what we may remember experiencing even before we incarnated. So we're going to just drop in this pebble of, I'm not what I've perceived myself to be. I am unlimited, pure spirit, and nothing is unavailable to me. And just feel the breath. And therefore, in this moment, I choose to open access to other dimensions of experience so that I might call this moment to me in a different way. And then if the mind is thinking, just tell it, thank you for sharing. Keeping our awareness on just opening the mind. As you open the mind, noticing images that come into your field of awareness. As you perhaps imagine yourself to be far more than just the body. Abiding in far greater dimensions than this physical dimension. And noticing colors, feelings. I'm just feeling this quality of safety, unchanging safety, supported. As if you could just relax into this stream. And whatever you're experiencing, just opening your mind even more, letting go even more. How vast. From this quality of effortless light, innocence. So there was a choice made to see, I wonder what it would be like to be in a human form. I wonder what it would be like. And from that choice, notice what you experience. Is from the pure effortlessness essence. It may start feeling a little more dense and dense and dense. And as we tune into that feeling, I'm going to give us a breathing exercise where we'll just stretch our arms straight up as if we're reaching into the infinite vastness that you may have just experienced. And as we exhale, we'll bring our hands down and squeeze the PC muscles. So it's squeezing our P muscles. And as we inhale again, reach our arms up, let the belly expand. And as we exhale, squeeze. Inhale up. Exhale, squeeze. And we're just going to continue with that. As if we're breathing all this energy into the base of the body. Pressing the base of the body towards the earth. We're going to do 5 more. The deepest inhale. One more deep breath. Hold the air in. And as we exhale, squeeze the PC muscles, the base of the body, this root chakra. And just letting our arms relax. We can just start moving in our hips, doing circles if we want to. Really feeling that essence of all we are, grounding and rooting into the base of the body. And feeling the earth beneath you, and the frequency of the earth holding you, support. And we can go in the opposite direction with our hips. And just relaxing any movement. And we're just going to rest here with our attention, the light of our awareness on the tailbone and the perineum, that area of the body. And noticing or intuiting the color red, the color of blood that pulses through our bodies. As we started to experience human form. I'm going to turn on a little bit of music. This isn't music. This is the sound of a womb. Simply remembering or intuiting. When I came into form, into my mother's form, did I feel safe? And noticing it without judgment. Do I feel supported? Or in that moment, coming into this physical plane, did we intuit and become fearful and kind of pull away from the experience? And whatever you're noticing, just reminding yourself, right now I'm safe. I know who I am. I remember. And this root chakra extends down into the legs, the energy of it, and into the feet. So really feeling, you can even touch your feet if you want to, the earthy quality of grounding. You might massage your feet or intuit like dirt, grass, the feeling of earth. So here we are in this first experience in our mother's womb because our attention's there. And we're remembering our safety. Just noticing your breath right now, breathing deep into the belly. This is as if each breath is lighting up the perineum, the spine. And then as you inhale, just let the belly expand. And as you exhale, just squeeze the PC muscles. Again, as you inhale, allowing the belly to expand. And as you exhale, squeeze. Doing a few more rounds of that, just inhaling, allowing the base to relax. And exhale, squeezing. One hand to the base of the body, cupping your vulva or where your perineum is, if you're a male. And again, just reminding yourself, I'm safe. all the frequency of who you are down into the base of the body, the truth of you. And as your hand is cupping, if one finger can tap the perineum, just as a reminder, almost like a heartbeat. And even as the tapping's happening, the genitals and the hips are relaxed. And just, you can release your hands and just noticing what you notice. And we'll end this meditation with a wonder question of what would it be like if I knew I was supported, if I knew I was pure abundance, if I could truly let go of the survival, the fearful mind, and breathe deeper in the essence of who I am. All the way into the ground, into this earth. And then noticing what that quality feels like. Does it feel more expansive if we embodied that? From the base all the way to the crown of the head. And then when we're ready, we can slowly start to open our eyes. With soft eyes, letting the muscles behind our eyes relax. Is there anything you want to share, Casey?
Thank you, Lauren, for leading that. I feel like I just want to like today be in nature, and I didn't have like an experience like I did yesterday, but I can sense like still like tension and holding, and maybe I'll like do some dancing and you know, just continue to awaken in the energy here and connect and open and bring my consciousness to,
Oh, you just froze. Hold on. There you are. Maybe bring your consciousness to what?
Yeah, which is just your attention, just your present attention in these places will help activate. Before we end, I'll share about when I first started with this root chakra. I don't think I've shared this before on the YouTube, but I started dancing, like shaking, twerking, like listening to music that really activated that like primal wanting to shake and move and shimmy. And I was doing that, and let myself be completely liberated, because I was at home by myself and I got lost in the music, and I burst into tears because something that was like locked down came up and out as an emotion of crying. So then I was laughing because I was like crying and twerking, and it was just like, gosh, I'm a hot mess. But so I highly recommend conscious twerking too, and these visualizations and breathing and meditating. And maybe Lauren and I will continue doing this series as we work our way up the chakras, and we can each bring meditations and what we're learning, so other people, if they're interested, can learn along with us.
Yeah. And what you're saying, it was huge for me too. But I realized the root and the sacral chakra are directly connected. These two are like bridged together, and we've talked about that. So it's like the sacral is actually like our sexual and our creative energy. So, but it's like, it doesn't exist without the root. So it's like how these two connected. They're like, one's not without the other,
Right. Yeah. So the sacral, will move into that one next, but we're doing it as we're doing these visualizations. Yesterday, I've been doing a lot of meditating, a lot of work. I did a yoni steam before we got on call today. And maybe I could share more about that later, but it does help bring your attention, and it softens the muscles. I grew my own herbs, and I made it like a really ritual thing. I picked some quartz that I had gotten out there in Santa Fe, and I put it in the pot to boil with the water just to activate it. And it really, it was just also beautiful and ritualistic. And I wore red, and I wore this maxi skirt. And it's simple. You can do this at home, the yoni steams, and that helps to activate the root and sacral too. It helps to bring healing and femininity, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I look forward to you leading me in that.
Yes. Anyway, so thank you guys for listening today. If you are interested in working with Lauren, she has a whole slew of offerings. Her website is wisdomofbreath.com, and I'll link it in the show notes. So you feel free to reach out to her. And I do breathwork sessions and intuitive healing sessions myself. I eventually want to get into the yoni steam and doing stuff like that with people. In a ritual setting. It'd be cool for, women to get their friends together and do that instead of having a paint party, have a yoni steam party.
Yeah. I mean, it really grounds us into we don't even have to understand it, but it grounds us back into our body instead of our head, the thinking brain. It's like,
yeah,
which only knows past and future, it's like brings us back into presence.
Yes, back to feeling and like that intuitive, and it connects us with all of our ancestors, the women that came before us, because as you were talking about the root and the perineum, I was just like, that's the doorway that all of us, even if it was C-section, energy still comes through the yoni, but we pass through that portal into earth. Like our root chakra could be activated by their root chakra too, like if you haven't already but it's like you're fully embodied once you come out and start breathing air on your own,
Yeah. Yeah. After we developed, all our organs developed in the soup, because we chose it, the soup of our family history, so it's like we brought this intelligence comes into all the patterns of that family,
Yeah. So the root, if you're getting into the root and you're interested in the root, this is like for, breaking what people call generational curses and things that have been passed down over and over again. Once we start getting here, we can acknowledge them and actually bring conscious, be conscious with it and then heal.
Yeah. I want to say, I love how it says, this just amazes me of the intelligence of God, or whatever one wants to call it, of the divine, our true nature. In the Indian tradition, it talks about how the Kundalini is asleep, lays sleeping at the base of the spine. The Christ also lays sleeping, it's like Adam, a deep sleep fell upon Adam, but it also says, and I love this, that energy is intelligent. So it's not it only moves up and removes the blocks that we're ready to have removed. And so there's a stop switch mechanism on this intelligence. It knows like what we're ready to see, what we're willing to be with. So as it moves up, it just waits until we're ready. And then it moves up and awakens us in divine timing, but it can't be like egoically sought after. It's more like a surrender,
Yeah. There's nothing you can force about the whole process.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been doing this work for years and years together.
Yeah.
I remember when I thought like I can make something happen, and now like I can do a practice and read something and like understand something, and I won't embody it for 5 years later. And I realized, and it was just happening, its own unfolding in its own time. It has an intelligence of its own that's not ours. And we're just along for the ride.
Yeah. And love's timing. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Yay. And I'll send this to you.
All right. Have a good day. I love you.
Love you too. Bye.